Hey everybody, welcome back to Power Babe. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm really excited to talk to you today about one thing that has been so incredibly important to me in my recovery the past over 2 years at this point, and that is my morning routine. So a morning routine helped me really manage my energy throughout the day, and at the time that I started doing a morning routine, nobody taught me how to do a morning routine. I just kind of figured it out on my own, just based on like things I had heard that healthy people do in their morning routine, like drinking water or journaling, or I don't know. It was kind of a mystery to me what people did in the morning who weren't hungover and who were high performing people. I just assumed that those people just like worked out and ate breakfast. Like that's what healthy, high performing people do, is eat breakfast and work out in the morning. And although that is true for a lot of people, I needed something a little more gentle for where I was at in early recovery, which was I needed space and time to sit with myself and have the ability to finally listen to myself. And the morning time was a perfect, like, beautiful hour or so that I could spend alone and really take that time to nurture myself and mother myself. And I didn't really have words like what I just used at the time. I was just so thrilled to not be hungover in the morning that I wanted to really take advantage of all of the time and energy I had in the morning, where I was clear and I had had a good night's sleep and I felt pretty good compared to how I had been feeling, which was terrible, like horrifyingly bad every morning by waking up hungover or still drunk, just depending on the day. When I was a teenager, I was a swimmer, so I swam all year round. I was very competitive, and part of swimming, if you don't know about being on a swim team, is that you get up for morning practice every morning. So every morning I would wake up at 4:45 and have to get ready and grab all my shit and get in the car and drive to swim practice and get in a cold pool at 5:45 in the morning and swim. And that was my morning routine for 4 years in high school. Year round, my brother was a swimmer, so I would swim with the boys and he would come swim with the girls in his off season. So we were always in the pool, always running to get into the pool in the morning. And when we were on the off season, it was summertime and we really relished like just being able to sleep in and do what teenagers do. In college, I can't remember having much of a morning routine either. I think I would just throw on some clothes and grab my bag and run to class. I was probably hungover half the time anyway. And then into adult life, I was also hungover. Not every morning, but towards the end, in the last year and a half of my drinking career, I was definitely hungover. I would say 99% of my days, which is crazy to me to think about now that I even could function, and it's no wonder my panic disorder just crescendoed up into just multiple panic attacks a day. I was completely debilitated by panic attacks my last year of drinking. It's not something that I shared with anyone other than my close partners, and even then I didn't tell them the frequency because I was really ashamed, because I knew in my heart that the root of my panic was in my drinking, and if I could just remove alcohol from the equation, I could see some hope with my panic disorder and with anxiety in general. It was a vicious cycle, I would wake up already in a deficit and I would feel terrible and just shove my face full of caffeine and carbs and water because I was so dehydrated. And I would later in life go to the gym in the morning and punish my body for what I had done to it the night before and do negative self-talk the whole way there. I would just be like, oh, you're such a piece of shit. I can't believe you did it again. Like, get your shit together. What's wrong with you? Successful people don't do this. And from the outside looking in, I looked like, I don't know, a pretty successful person. I had a job that I was killing it at work. I was fucking killing it. And at the same time, I wasn't, because I was not in a job that I liked. I wasn't working with people that I liked very much. I didn't care about the business. I was like just good enough. I was stuck in that loop of just good enough. So having a new morning routine, even though I was still at that job, really anchored me into myself when I was in early recovery. And it looked a little something like this. I would wake up, I would slowly move my body. I would go into the bathroom. I would wash my face. This is huge for me. Washing my face and taking care of my skin was not something that I did before I entered recovery. I became kind of a like skincare nut when I entered recovery, because to me it was a very key self-care practice for me, where I went into Sephora and I didn't know what the fuck I was doing, and I asked for help, and I got a couple products, and I swear to God, just having these couple products, like spending that kind of money on myself to take care of myself and foster my well-being was part of a life-changing routine, which was my morning routine. And I know people who are adopting skincare regimens now and who are starting to take care of their skin and things like that, and there's just something about it. It's incredibly nurturing. Our skin is so important, and our face is the first thing that people see most of the time. And so it felt like a very metaphorical thing for me, that I cared enough to take care of my face, and I was looking at it and spending time looking at my face in the morning, where before I had been avoiding mirrors and really ashamed of myself, and I hated looking at myself in a mirror. It was very profound to really realize that. After I washed my face, I would get my coffee, or I would get it beforehand, and I drank my coffee while I did my skincare, and it was really nice. And I would put on music in my house. I would put on something that made me want to dance, something that was calming and soothing. I would just put on something to really get my good feelings going. Even if I didn't feel particularly amazing that day, having nice music and creating a lovely environment to be waking up in and greeting the day with was really important. I would go journal and meditate. Sitting at my meditation pillow, I had a whole little space that I carved out in my house. I created an altar, and I kind of believed in that stuff at the time. I was kind of like, this is just nice. It's kind of bullshit in my mind at the time. But then the more I did it, the more I started cultivating my spiritual practice through meditation, primarily through meditation and self-reflection and journaling. That's when I started to really talk to God, actually, and God, as I understood it, was this universe, this very feminine, divine energy that I felt directly connected to when I was meditating. I could feel this thing coming out of my head and shooting out into the universe in this big pink blob, whatever. I didn't have that kind of relationship with anything bigger than myself until I started my morning routine, and facilitating that really help me understand and create a sense of purpose for myself. And these are all things that are part of recovery. If you read any recovery books, I just was doing it. No one was telling me to do it. I was just doing it. After I did all of that, I prayed, I journaled, I meditated, I washed my face, I drank my water, I would eat breakfast. And I started eating breakfast for real and taking it seriously. Before I entered recovery, I knew that eating breakfast was important. I just didn't understand how what you ate in the morning and what you ate throughout the day really helped facilitate good brain function, cognitive function. Your entire body is happier when you're eating good whole foods. I know it's all common sense, you guys, but it's when you're in early recovery, just waking up sober sometimes feels like a win. And eating a healthy breakfast with organic blueberries in your fucking oatmeals, you're just okay, come on, what else do I have to do? I have to do all this other stuff, and now I have to eat organic blueberries. Yeah, for me, I needed to eat organic blueberries to be recovered and stay recovered. There's something I want to read to you guys, and it's about willpower, because I think willpower is misunderstood in recovery. We are told that we lack willpower if we can't stop drinking, which I think is just a load of bullshit, because if you think about the science behind it, and actually Holly Whitaker, she wrote a book called Quit Like a Woman, and it just came out and it's fabulous, and she talks a lot about willpower and the misconception of what it is and how we think about it, especially when it comes to recovery. She talks about how willpower is a cognitive function, like deciding what to eat or solving a math equation or remembering your dad's birthday. Willpower is also a limited resource. We have more of it at the beginning of the day and lose it throughout the day as we use it to write emails or not eat cookies. When you automate some decisions or processes through forming habits, like having a morning routine, you free up more brain power. This was huge. This was huge to understand, that at the beginning of the day is when you are at your most potent, that you have like the most energy, the most calmness, the most spoons, like the mental spoons, if you've heard that theory. You're just at you're recharged, you're completely like open and ready for the day. And then as you move out, as you go throughout your day, you begin to lose out on some willpower, if you will, because of your decision fatigue. You're spending brain calories making decisions throughout the day. So the more you can automate the shit that you're doing throughout the day, the more energy you'll have to self-regulate. And Holly talks about this in Quit Like a Woman, but hypoarousal and hyperarousal are two extremes, and most of the time we exist somewhere in the middle. But for me, at least, I know I was operating on those extremes very often throughout the day. I was either hyper aroused and super triggered and found it very hard to self-regulate once I was triggered, or I was very lethargic and I was numbing out with booze, of course, but then also with social media and even art to some degree. I would go into my art studio and I would make art and drink at the same time, and it was a way for me to completely detach from reality. And I'm glad that I still make art, but I don't need to numb out and completely detach from reality. It's a much more healthy coping mechanism for me now. I really appreciated her talking about hyper and hypoarousal, because having a morning routine, especially when you have a meditation practice first thing in the morning, you're setting yourself up for so much more success in self-regulating, so that at the end of the day, when you're completely out of spoons, out of brain calories, you can't make any more fucking decisions, you aren't reaching for something to cope and numb out. You're ready to go to bed. You've done everything throughout the day that you can, and you're not hypo-aroused and you're not hyper-aroused, and you're good. That's the magic of a morning routine, is that it lasts throughout the entire day. And I've been living it for 2 years, and I can tell you that it really does make a difference. Towards the end of my second year, which was fairly recently in the last 6 months, I kind of fell off, not completely with my morning routine. I was still drinking my water, washing my face, eating breakfast, but instead of meditating, I was writing. I've been writing a lot of essays lately on Medium. I've been building this channel and other things, so I was doing my projects in the morning. And my partners really noticed a difference in me. I was noticeably more irritable. I was not as present. I, at the end of the day, was more like snappy and fatigued and just like really worn out, because although writing in the morning and building your projects and like all of that shit is recommended by, I think, mostly male entrepreneurs, frankly, it's not something that works for me anymore. I can journal, I can do, having my morning routine just for me where I'm not producing or creating shit is incredibly important to me, and I realized that lesson in the last 6 months. And it's kind of cool to realize that and to accept it and be good with the fact that in the morning time, the most productive that I want to be is reading a book that I really love. That's the most productive. If it's like Women Who Run with the Wolves, which I'm obsessed with, and I go back to whenever I need a jolt, or something from Audre Lorde, or any other person like Adrienne Murray Brown, those people that are Bell Hooks, like, these are people who really inform and inspire me. And so reading something really aspirational and inspirational when I'm just waking up is the most productive that I want to be. I know I just said the most productive I want to be in the morning is just washing my face, journaling, meditating, praying, and reading. And I'm sitting here and it's like 8 a.m. and I am filming this episode, which is actually a disruption to my morning routine. And I'm okay with it because I'm aware of it and I'm not doing it all the time anymore. So that's just funny. Life is not, black and white, you guys. It's very much gray. Once I had stopped ingesting an addictive substance and alcohol that fucks with your entire cognitive function, your entire brain, it ruins your body. It's poison. It's literally ethanol that you're ingesting into your precious brain and your very sensitive body. Once I stopped doing that, my panic disorder completely subsided. I stopped having panic attacks. My anxiety is honestly non-existent most days. I feel fabulous most of the day. It's only when I'm really struggling with certain things that my anxiety rears up, but that's a more of a physical sensation than anything. And I'm just so grateful for the ability to get through my day and not have a panic attack every hour on the hour. I'm grateful that I now take the time in the morning to care for myself and mother myself and like reparent myself, like teach myself how to care for myself. Doing that was just, it really changed my life to take the time for myself in the morning. And I hope that you do that for yourself as well, because it will lead to great things. I mean, just having a morning routine has allowed me to expand my energy out into, producing videos like this so that I can talk to you and help you and hopefully meet with you and facilitate conversation on sobriety in a more modern way. You don't just have to go to 90 meetings in 90 days to get sober, and I'm living proof of that, and I'm thriving now. So I'm really grateful for simple things like a morning routine to really ground me in myself. I say this to myself all the time, that I ground myself in myself, and that's something that I hope you can take with you and understand that you are your source of power, and you are to be trusted and to be listened to, and you're fabulous. And I can't wait to hear about your morning routine and what you've done to, make space and time for yourself in the morning. And please like and subscribe. I think there's buttons around here somewhere, and I'll drop some resources in the description that I have found helpful, including Holly's Quit Like a Woman book on recovery. It's amazing. And I hope that you have a fabulous day. I'm gonna go work now. I'm gonna go throughout my day, and I feel great because I did my morning routine before this. And yeah, I love you. Seriously, keep going. Bye.